Now I have that spoonful of sugar song stuck in my head. Thank you, Hooper.
You're welcome.
Your influence has once again eaten away at my subconscious.
Well, that's what I do.
You're eroding me.
I plant that seed.
That's disgusting.
I plant that seed all everywhere else. Well, hello everybody, and hello everybody, and welcome to episode 40 of the HooperCast. Lordy, lordy, the HooperCast is 40.
This is 40.
After a bit of some time apart, Dustin and I took some time apart. We are back here again. I almost said we're back together. That sounded... It would have been misleading. So, here we are again, just in time at the end of January to give you our I think, what would we call this? Our most anticipated of 2013 films?
Yeah.
So we did this last year, and so I guess this will be our second annual, and it's just good for us to sort of look at the year, and at least for me, money-wise, to really look at, where's my money going to go with movies this year?
Right, yeah.
And it's always fun for me to look at, to think back, like, at what, at least for the 2012 episode we did, where I went back and listened to that, and I was like, wow, of all the movies I said I was interested in seeing, I saw, like, 8.
Really, yeah.
8 of them. And I remember looking back and thinking, man, this one seemed cool when we did the episode, but after I heard reviews and just time passed by, and I heard it was bad, and
it became less
yeah,
cool.
Like one of those was Ghost Rider 2, which ended up on my bottom 5.
Yeah, oof. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, this is really just sort of a list of what to spend your money on, but it's like a tentative list because right now this is what I'm interested in. In a month, even, I may be interested in something completely different. So, but yeah, some of these I guarantee you I will see. In fact, most of these, but yeah, you're right.
I guess we'll just go by month. January is mostly over, so I almost don't want to even rule it as a possibility. The only thing that, at least in the past, remotely considered seeing in January was Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters. But then I just sort of thought, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
Same as
see, Hansel and Gretel to me was like, It's the equivalent of this Jack and the Beanstalk movie, Jack the Giant Slayer or whatever.
Right.
It's like, why even bother at this point? Like if you're going to adapt the story, that's one thing, but if you're going to change it that much, the name Hansel and Gretel doesn't get me into the theaters.
I'm not afraid of guys named Hansel. I'm thinking of I'm Hansel.
I'm Hansel.
Touch your body today. That's not German,
exactly what I think.
That's not really German. I'm going to give you... fuck it, I can't do it. I should have practiced that before I attempted that joke.
That's what rehearsals are for.
Yeah,
and you didn't show up, Hooper.
Nope. In February, there's stand-up guys, which is the only reason I would even go see that is that there's Christopher Walken's in that. Is Al Pacino in that? I wrote down the movie. I did not write down the cast. I should have.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. I'll end up skipping that. I'll just probably... I think everything I wrote down, either I'm going to see in theaters or I will keep an eye on at Redbox. I'm not going to go see Top Gun 3D because I never really liked Top Gun. Everyone's like, it's such a great movie. I was like, nothing special.
I haven't seen it in a long time. I have it on DVD, but I have not watched it in years, so I can't even say anything about it.
To me, Top Gun, it's one of those movies that's been not ruined, but it is. I cannot watch it without thinking of all the gay jokes that everyone makes about it. And so, every time, if I'm ever, attempting to watch it, I'm just like, I can't take this movie seriously. It's a fool's errand for me to really appreciate Top Gun. There's A Good Day to Die Hard, which I will definitely not see in theaters unless I hear it's amazing.
See, I'll probably end up seeing it in theaters. I think the fact that it's rated R is a good sign.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Okay, good.
So I think that's they're on the right track. Now, adding in, sons for all of these action movie heroes, I hate that trend that's happening. But whatever. I guess I could get over it. It looks fun. The trailer looked fun. I mean, You know, it's John McClane, so sure.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
Yeah.
Plus, I still have some movie tickets left over from Christmas.
So why not use them on Die
A
Hard
movie
5?
you only kind of want to see.
Right. Now, in March, I only have 2, one of which I'll definitely see. And I imagine it's on your list, and it is Oz the Great and Powerful.
See, for me, it goes back and forth, though, because I'll look at the trailer and be like, oh, this looks pretty good. And then I'll look at the trailer again, and I'll be like, okay, no. And then I'll look at it again and be like, oh, why did I say no? And then, like, when I look at it again, it's like, oh, God. And so it's so weird to me, but... and they're clearly marketing it exactly like Alice in Wonderland, but you know, I love the original, you know, Wizard of Oz, and I don't know, it looks fun anyway, and I like the cast, so yeah, I'll probably end up seeing it.
If it can add to the world, if it can add to Oz, in a way, you know, like versus taking away from the original, or
right.
For its sake and for the viewer's sake, I don't want this movie to come off as just completely unnecessary, like a completely over-budgeted, overblown attempt at nostalgia, like so many remakes and sequels are these days.
Right.
I hope it does. I hope it comes off as genuine. I hope it's a genuine story. It's strange for me because, with few exceptions, I can't really buy James Franco in a leading dramatic role. It's just saying that dramatic. He's not like a drug addict. Well, at least not that I know. That'd be interesting. He's like trying to kick smack while he's trying to become this wizard.
That explains Oz. Completely.
Yeah. While all the horses are different colors, and he's just it'd be yet another role where they would cast James Franco as someone who wraps a tourniquet around his arm.
Yeah.
I'll keep an eye on that one. Just like I said, so many of these are just. I'm not gonna. My default, it's sad. My default, I have to approach movies from a completely financial point of view these days. Like, we've talked about this over and over and over again, but the idea of assumption versus cost. Like, unless I am just completely enamored by what this movie could be, my assumption is that I won't be going to see this unless. Right. And the condition is unless it is. I've heard fantastic things from people, and I've been given good reasons to see it in theaters. Versus, I mean, there's certain movies on my list. There's only a few movies on my list I can really think of, this entire list, and I'll mention them as they come, that I can see myself wanting to see exclusively in theaters. And Oz could be one of them in terms of sheer scope, but it's the substance of the story I'm worried about.
Right, yeah, it looks like a good movie to see in theaters.
Right.
By the time it rolls around, I could feel differently, but I imagine I'd see that in theaters. I mean, it looks, big enough, like you said, in scope to warrant spending $10 on.
Do you have anything else for March?
The Incredible Burt Wonderstone.
What is that?
What?
What? I'm sorry. I know I just came off as a McDonald's employee to you, but I'm not really.
That's exactly what it was.
So you
excuse me, this sandwich was supposed to have pickles on it.
What?
That's exactly what you just gave me. The Incredible Burt Wonderstone is, I think it's going to premiere at South by.
Okay.
It's a comedy starring Steve Carell and Jim Carrey and Olivia Wilde and Steve Buscemi and Alan Arkin and James Gandolfini, and I'll totally see it just for that cast. Like every reason I just listed, that's why I'll see it. Basically, Steve Carell plays a magician, and his partner is Steve Buscemi, and they're like friends from like way back when they were kids, and they're magicians in Las Vegas. But there's a new street magician who's like up and coming, and they're like kind of being forced out, and that the new magician is Jim Carrey, and he's basically like a Chris Angel type magician, whereas Steve Carell and Steve Buscemi are sort of like the old school tiger in cage magicians. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And so anyway, it just seems fun. I mean, admittedly, the first trailer was a little weak, but that cast I think has the potential to do something really, really fantastic. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I have a mindset that's very contrary to most people's these days, which is if I see Jim Carrey in a trailer, I'm actually more likely to see the film.
Yeah.
A lot of people have written him off, but I will endlessly recognize the talent of that man. And
yeah, I love Jim Carrey.
Yeah. The number 23 was kind of garbage, but like he
yeah.
I like him, and I
agree. I like Jim Carrey a lot. I think he's a great dramatic actor, and he's a great comedic actor. The problem is some of his choices have not been the best, and I think that's what kind of hits most people. But I still love Jim Carrey, and probably always will. And then Steve Carell, I love Steve Carell, so there you go. And then Steve Buscemi, how can you not love Steve Buscemi? So,
I think Jim Carrey and Ryan Reynolds must have the same agent.
Yeah.
Who's just squandering their talents and picking bad projects for them.
But anyway, yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. I think Brad Garrett is also in it, and like a bunch of other people.
What else?
Not that Brad Garrett's a reason to see anything, but I don't know why I brought that up. I don't know what. In case there are any Brad Garrett diehard fans out there, go see this film. I don't know what I was trying to accomplish. What else do you have on your list for March?
I have G.I. Joe Retaliation.
Oh, okay, yeah.
With some apprehension. Again, unless I hear it's a tremendous improvement on the original, I will skip this in theaters. Which is this. I feel like I'm perpetually defeating the purpose of this whole episode, which is movies we're anticipating. Lots of things catch my eye as something I might enjoy watching.
Sure.
Few of them will make the theater cut. So far, none of them have, except for possibly Oz. I liked. I didn't necessarily hate where The Rise of Cobra wanted to take, the franchise, like the property or whatever. Like outside of maybe like just hey, okay, we got grander things going on than it seemed like when I was playing with the toys. I don't have that much intrinsic. I don't have that much invested in G.I. Joe.
Yeah, me neither.
So, and I remember like just seeing the trailer, and it was going to come out this summer. The reason that it's being bumped down to like possible rental status is because since they pushed it back because of what was it, reshoots and stuff, right? Like they had to.
I believe so.
They reshot like a lot of the movie, and so they're in the hole a lot because of wasted ad revenue and ad advertising budget. I'm a little bit worried for this movie, and so that's why I'm apprehensive to spend my money on it. But I'm still interested to see what happens. This is one of those times where if this movie is also bad, no matter how many more of these I'll release, I'm not going to see it. The same reason I'll still see the next Amazing Spider-Man, regardless of how we felt about the original. Because if 2 in a row are bad, that's where I'm usually like, okay, I don't like this. I even made it through Transformers simply because there were parts of it that I could accept and enjoy, and appreciate. Sure. But if this one is basically the same thing as the original, which was fun to watch, I watched it I think 2 or 3 times, but ultimately like forgettable, then I'm done with this franchise. That's why I'm interested in seeing it, because to me this is like, am I going to keep watching these or am I going to write this off?
Right, and I see what you're saying. Like, as far as Spider-Man goes, I'll see the next one because I like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And because I want so much for it to be good. And I think G.I. Joe is sort of the same way. I've never really been into G.I. Joe. I never played with the toys. I never really watched the show.
Yeah.
But there's potential there, and I'd like for it to be good. Now, I'm not even going to say that I'll see this in theaters because, to be honest, I probably won't.
Right.
But I'm interested to see what they do with it because the first one was so like poorly received. You'd think that they would take some of that and like channel it into something positive. So anyway, I'm interested, but it's probably not something that I'll go out of my way to see.
Now in April, there's Oblivion.
Yeah.
Which I don't know much about, but I'm interested simply in the visuals and the fact that Tom Cruise is in it.
I don't know. It didn't wow me or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, okay, here's that guy from War of the Worlds, but in like a different movie. Mm-hmm. And so, I don't know. There's probably a lot more going on than what was in that trailer.
Right.
It's directed by the guy that did Tron and Tron Legacy. And So I don't know. I'm interested in it, but it didn't make my list.
Yeah, and that one again just depends on, because movies like that can either end up being like awesome because I visually I dig the concept, I dig how everything looks,
Sure.
I dig like how everything is structured. Now it just depends on, is this hitting you over the head with something or is it falling apart? And if the answer to both of those is no, then that's generally to where I'm like, okay, well I'm going to enjoy looking at it and I'm not going to feel pressured or preached to by whatever sort of message they have about humanity, you know.
Right, sure. Jurassic Park 3D.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never seen Jurassic Park in theaters. I will be there to see that junk in theaters. I don't care if it's in 3D. I don't really care for 3D, but I will see it in 3D if I have to, just so I can feel the bass and, you know, whenever it's like boom, boom. I want to feel that in my guts, and I want to see T-Rexes on the IMAX screen.
Personally, I'm just waiting for that Blu-ray you were talking about to come out, and I'll watch it
Yes.
at home. I know I know what you mean. Like I can see if I were to see it in 3D in theaters, that would be why, for those reasons you just listed.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, I hadn't seen Jurassic Park until a couple of years ago, so it's not even like deeply rooted in my my taste in movies.
Sure.
I have Pain and Gain on my April list because I'm very interested in seeing what Michael Bay, in a non-Transformers Michael Bay film, like the first one since, The Island maybe?
Yeah, probably.
2005, which wasn't good. This seems more along the lines of Bad Boys, or Bad Boys 2.
Right.
I like The Rock and I like Mark Wahlberg. You know, reasons that inform other choices on my list, such as G.I. Joe Retaliations.
No, ma'am, we're not.
No, ma'am, we're not. We're just working out. No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
But it looks. I appreciate the fact that it's about human beings, you know, and so maybe Michael Bay's humor or whatever will actually apply in the story.
Sure.
You know, and not instead of undermining the gravity of intelligent alien life forms, he can apply, you know, stupid jockish bro jokes to a couple of jockish bros. I feel like this movie could be very fun to watch and enjoyable for what it is, since, you know, I won't feel offended or you know, talked down to as a viewer.
Sure.
And I'm not much for, like, I don't run around saying, I'm offended. People do that too much these days. I have a very thick skin, and frankly, everyone in the world should. There's no reason why you shouldn't. But that's a much bigger issue. But people do that too much with movies where I'm offended by that. I was offended by this. Look at what's going on with Django Unchained right now. People are offended by the Samuel L. Jackson character. People are offended by the copious use of the N-word. Guess what? Racist spoke like that. You can't pretend that area of American history didn't exist. If you do, then I think you have issues and you can't recognize the history we come from for what it is. You just don't like hearing the word because you take it and you turn it you turn it into an attack on you rather than an accurate representation of history.
Right, exactly.
Anyways, that all goes back to like the step and fetch bots from Transformers 2, who were admittedly racist and unnecessary characters. So you know, but I don't feel offended by most films I see, except ones that are obvious. So I don't think that will apply here. I simply expect to be entertained. So
another one that I've got on my list for April is 42. Which is the Jackie Robinson biopic kind of thing. I'm a sucker for baseball movies, and you know, there's not much more to say other than Harrison Ford and baseball movies. So I'll probably see that. I mean, it looks by the numbers. I mean, it's about, you know, Jackie Robinson, so you have all of the you know, civil rights issues and whatnot that are gonna pop up in a movie like that, like Remember the Titans or whatever. But you know, it's always it always makes for good drama, and I feel like there are men and women in history that deserve to be remembered, and Jackie Robinson's one of those guys for me. So I'll be there.
The first one for me for May is indeed Iron Man 3.
Yes.
Which
looks retarded.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. I just said that so I could see your reaction. Which was one of, I'm no longer a friend with you, Dustin.
I looked up at you like, really? I was confused because your yes implied I agree, not like yes. Actually, no.
Yeah.
I've spoken repeatedly about why I'm excited for Iron Man 3, so I'm not gonna. I'll just summarize that. Not that I'm excited for the absence of Jon Favreau, but he had an attitude about Iron Man and his integration with the Avengers as if it couldn't be done. That's one of the reasons he decided not to direct the Avengers. Really having a falling out with Marvel in general about their influence on the films, which I respect him for, but I also think, well, that's not quite a positive attitude towards your work. But I will still credit him for what he did for the character in the first two movies. Mm-hmm. I like Iron Man 2 as opposed to lots of people, including yourself, I believe.
Yeah, I don't like Iron Man 2.
But the reason 3 is going to be great is because of the influence of Shane Black, and which wrote Lethal Weapon, wrote and directed Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, also starring Robert Downey Jr. And that's a great. If you've ever seen that movie, just watching Robert Downey Jr. in that movie it's so enjoyable and complete correct director and writer to write for Tony Stark. It remains to be seen, but I feel like may rival Joss Whedon in terms of how to give that character a voice and make an impression.
Sure.
So I'm excited for that. I'm excited just for another solo Iron Man story. I'm always excited for these, and
Yeah, I'm excited for it too. I didn't care for Iron Man 2, and I didn't love Iron Man, the first one, and I know a lot of people did. Mm-hmm. It's fun in parts, but to me they've all had structural problems, and there's been issues with pacing, and I feel like at times Tony Stark, and I know that's just his character, but at times he kind of rubbed me the wrong way in those movies. But I feel like the Avengers really got him to the point where he didn't irritate me anymore. Mm-hmm. And so the Avengers turned me around on that character. And so it's something that I'm actually kind of glad that Jon Favreau's not there. I think that this is a more dramatic direction, which I think is good, because with a character like Tony Stark, who is sarcastic and who seems to be detached from things, to give him that weight. This is sort of a post-traumatic stress story, it seems. And to give him something like that to have to deal with, I think is really smart. My only concern is that it's going to distance itself too much from the Avengers. And I know before I've said that the Avengers seem to have weighed some of the other movies down in that they all had to fall in line. Mm-hmm. And now that we're getting a movie that seems to be completely alone and not have any ties to the Avengers 2 or anything, I feel like that's going to be really strange for me to have to deal with, especially now that they've all been together. At the end of the Avengers, it ends with Tony Stark and Bruce Banner driving off together. So I'm going to wonder, where's Bruce Banner? And I'm going to wonder all of these things like, why isn't Nick Fury helping? Where's Black Widow? Where's Hawkeye? I think that's an easy hurdle to jump. But if they don't actually do it, it may drive me kind of crazy to know that they all exist in the same world, but when one of them is about to die, they're not there to help him. If that makes any sense. So I think it's going to be very tricky, and this is going to be very, just like Iron Man was the beginning of it, this is the beginning of phase 2, and if they have to get this right, they have to get this moment right, because if they don't, everything else is going to fall apart. Iron Man really is the backbone of all of these things. Mm-hmm. And anyway, I have high hopes for it. Like I said, new director, great. New writers, great. I just I really want them to get this right, and I hope he doesn't go back to annoying me. So that's all I have to say.
Before we move on from it, I'll say I share the same potential grievances that you do. To me, I would think, at least, and this is completely just my opinion, that having the other Avengers able to help Stark I only really feel like S.H.I.E.L.D. would alert them to Tony's peril. Well, I feel like they wouldn't, not because they don't like him, but because I feel like the Avengers are only really assembled when there's like a potential global catastrophe. So if it's in this movie, this Iron Man 3 seems to not really be a global catastrophe. It seems to be like a sort of a personal vendetta against Stark.
Sure.
So I don't know I'm sure Nick Fury's going to pop up at some point. Just knowing how many deals that Samuel L. Jackson signed, like 9 films to appear as Nick Fury.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that tells me he's going to be in each of them at a certain point, except possibly Thor too.
Yeah.
Because, like as you said, they've established the presence of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the all-seeing eye, no pun intended, of Nick Fury. So I'm sure he'll pop up. But I don't see S.H.I.E.L.D. as an organization, especially a shady one as they establish them to be, to really lend their resources to any one Avenger's problems necessarily. So to me, I can understand if, not to mention that Thor is off, in another dimension now, and Banner doesn't really want to be a part of this in the first, was sort of tricked into being part of the group in the first place. And Captain America, among other things, not having a cell phone or, just going off and doing his own thing, wouldn't be around to help Stark. I can't say the same for Romanoff or Clint Barton. So it'll be interesting to see that. And so that will be one of the ways I judge the movie, because you can judge it as a standalone film, but you must judge it as being part of this universe with these, potential Deus Ex Machinas. And if they employ that, I hope they don't, but they need to give me a very good reason why that's not happening. And that is something I'm watching out for as well. So I agree.
Yeah, I agree. Shield may not help any one Avenger when they need it, but the fact is that they could, and that I don't know. It just seems to me that it's a hurdle that they're going to have to approach at some point in the film, and I'm sure they will. I'm sure the movie's thought out well enough to be like, oh, we should probably say something about this. And that's fine. All they have to do is mention it. Black Widow's in friggin' Iceland dealing with some polar bears or something. But that's all. I don't know, some evil polar bears robbing a polar bank or something. And there you go, the end. But anyway, they're going to have to deal with that. That's the only thing.
The next one for me I have is Star Trek Into Darkness.
Yes.
I don't know if they've established what Benedict Cumberbatch or who he is. I just saw like a TV promo without the sound the other day where they kept showing shots of The Wrath of Khan or Ricardo Montalban, and they're interviewing Benedict Cumberbatch. So I don't know if he's Khan. I don't know what you know. Frankly, I don't care. And I'm just excited for the movie. I'm excited that he's involved. I'm just excited for this film.
I don't know who he's playing. I'd rather not know until I get in there.
Yeah.
I kind of hope it's not Khan.
Yeah, exactly.
I kind of hope it's an original character, but if it's not, that's fine too. He's a talented actor, and I'm sure he'll be able to pull off whatever they give him to do. And I'm just excited for it. I think, I love that first film, and I say first film, but you know what I mean, the last film, and so I'm excited to see what happens.
I guess on a side note, we can go ahead and talk about this real quick. The news that J.J. Abrams is going to direct Star Wars Episode 7.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Well, I'm on the fence about it. I mean, I'm still not convinced that Star Wars Episode 7 needs to happen. But if they had to give it to anybody, I'm kind of glad it's him. He knows Star Wars, and I think I can. We can trust him to do right by it. As long as, Damon Lindelof keeps his hands off of Star Wars. That's really my only concern.
I'm concerned that it's going to look visually too much like his Star Trek movies. Now, to a degree,
probably
they will
will.
because they're in space, and it.
Yeah.
Which is that was my gut reaction was, okay, well, I'm glad it wasn't this person I wouldn't approve of. I know that it'll be competently handled. I'm just a little bit afraid that in terms of like shot design and possibly the lens flares and a director has a style. So I mean, there's gonna be some similarities, and people are gonna talk about that when they review it, whenever it comes out. It's inevitable. I'm a little concerned about that because as much as it'll look good, I want it to stand out from the Star Trek movies.
They're two very different worlds.
Right, and I know he knows that, and so I trust a filmmaker like with integrity like him to sort of be able to differentiate that. I would think that he would not agree to it if he didn't think he could make it unique from the Star Trek movies, or really even the previous Star Wars films themselves.
Yes, exactly.
So I feel comfortable in the fact that he obviously thought of that. You know, people like him, if you listen to interviews like with him and others like him, what they'll always bring up was, well, it just seems like something I've already done. It seems like this. So if he's going to take a property that in its concept, well, not in its concept, but maybe in its visual presentation is a lot like Star Trek, you would think that he would said, okay, well, I know how I can make this different, unique. I know how this is different from my previous work.
Exactly.
Apparently, The Great Gatsby is in May. Odd for it to go from a winter release to a summer release.
Now, have you heard this? Is this true that Jay-Z is doing the soundtrack? Jay-Z's doing the score for that movie?
I thought I heard that.
See, that's weird to me.
I guess we'll see. The Great Gatsby, I won't see it unless I hear really good things.
I probably won't see it. It was one of those books you had to read in high school, and I just thought it was incredibly boring, and now I don't remember anything about it. So, I don't know. I don't know about that one.
For me, it's just, if I hear good things, then this is an opportunity for me to finally understand this flipping story, to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Maybe this is full circle for me, because I read the Cliff Notes in high school. And I approached this task very practically, which is I don't really care what's going on in the book, but I do need to learn what I'm going to be tested on.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I learned the bullet points without actually understanding the story. I still couldn't tell you what the story's about, but I got an A on that test. Did I cheat?
Yeah.
No. I studied, but I didn't absorb it. I just remembered it for a couple of days, tested it, and just pushed that shit right out. That sounded gross. I just pooped that information out of my head. Took a brain poop.
Yeah.
I don't know. That I'll have to wait on that. A sad fact. A very sad fact, admittedly, is I'm much more likely to rent Fast and Furious 6 than I am to rent The Great Gatsby. Is that sad or what? Because you know that by the type of movie it is, that you're going to be more apt to feel like you can pay attention to car chases and things, and Jordana Brewster, and making fun of Paul Walker. I don't know. Those movies in particular, like as I've said in the past, have become better in that they've recognized, they've acknowledged the kind of movie they are, and so now they're a little bit liberated. It's almost like when people come out of the closet, I guess. What I imagine that must be like. It's like, finally, all right, now I can be myself. I don't know. Those movies have come out of the car closet, and now they're prancing around. And
they've come out of the garage, if you will.
Yeah, they come out of the garage. So I imagine you won't be seeing that one, though, for the same reasons why I'm ashamed to admit that I'll keep my eye on it.
Yeah. I've never seen a Fast and Furious movie in full. Likely never will. So there you go. Yeah.
The same, for me, can be said about The Hangover Part 3. We all abhorrently... I'm trying to pick the right adjective, the right just hateful adjective, but I'd say despised Part 2.
Yeah. One of the worst movies I've ever seen. I saw it on sale on Amazon the other day on Blu-ray. It came with like the DVD and the digital copy and everything. It was like $7, and I was like, Lord have mercy, that's way too much for this movie.
See, for me, it's the same thing. It's not two bad ones in a row, so I'm still... I mean, this is the last one they're going to do anyway, hopefully.
Maybe.
So I'm more apt to see this one just because, as I predicted, it's going to be about Zach Galifianakis' wedding, which I thought might happen. And so I'm interested in that. I'm hoping that they don't run Ken Jeong into the ground like they did in the last movie, or like they have in other movies with Ken Jeong since The Hangover. But we'll see what happens there. I'm hoping that they involve Justin Bartha a little more because he's a funny actor, and they just cast him aside. And he's like, "Does no one remember National Treasure? That movie's watchable because of me." You know.
Yeah, exactly. See, the thing is, I would be amazed if I end up seeing that movie in theaters. Yeah. So it's going to have like a 100 on Rotten Tomatoes, and people are going to have to be like, "Oh my God, this is the next Godfather," and then I'll go see it because I probably won't go see it ever.
Godfather.
Yes.
Yeah, I can only see myself seeing this with a couple friends, maybe with Tara, but otherwise I'm just going to rent it, you know. But I thought it was worth mentioning because I have strong opinions about the second one. And the second one's one of those rare cases where I hated it so much that it made me hate the first one a little bit, too. Oh, yeah. The first one, which I liked and had no issue with until the sequel came out, it had like a weird, like, contagious effect. Yep. Yeah. That's strange to have so few choices for May, you know?
I know, really. Usually there's something every weekend.
In June, there's After Earth. I'm apprehensive, about this because of M. Night Shyamalan. Again, unless I hear it's fantastic.
I'll be right back. I'm going to go throw up a little bit.
Yeah. The Internship, is that one with Vince Vaughn and... Is it Owen Wilson?
I don't even know.
I forgot. I'm sorry, everybody.
It is Owen Wilson. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Which I liked their dynamic in Wedding Crashers. That's one of my favorite comedies of all time. I can, I won't say where it ranks with other comedies I like, but the amount of times I can rewatch that movie, which is 8 years old now, and still laugh at the same jokes. And I'm not the kind of person who just thinks something's funny forever. Eventually I get sick of it. It's up there with 40-Year-Old Virgin, with movies, with comedies that I can watch repeatedly and enjoy just because of the dynamic of the actors and the characters. So that makes me interested in this movie to begin with. Really, the plot doesn't matter with a comedy with these two. So I guess I'm interested to that degree. Again, if I hear it's funny, I might go see it. But wow, many of these are just...
That one's directed by Sean Levy.
Oh.
Which, by the way, guess what I found out he directed?
What?
Jet Jackson the movie.
What?
Yeah, he directed Jet Jackson the movie, and also a few episodes of the show.
Lee Thompson Young.
Yeah, Lee Thompson Young. Where is that guy? That guy should be a A-lister.
He needs to. They need to do a Jet Jackson movie where he's like a real secret agent and he's like murdered people and like killed dictators and stuff, but he's got blood on his hands.
They should, man. And Miss Coretta's at home like, "Oh, what happened to my sweet little boy?" And then he's like, "He's dead, Grandma. He's dead.
She's gone." Okay, so the next one for June is Man of Steel, and we've both talked about why we want to see it. I don't know how much more we could really say. Man of Steel.
That is my most anticipated of the year.
Yeah,
but at the same time, I'm trying to remain cautious about it.
Perspective.
I don't want to get my hopes up.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it. There's no denying it.
I just keep myself, they haven't released copious amounts of trailers. I haven't heard a lot of talk about it. I assume I'm going to hear more in the next 3 months about it. But I'm just trying to, I keep my expectations, in my head, I've made a little bit of a mistake in that I've already told myself, well, it's going to be better than Superman Returns.
Yeah.
So, and I can safely assume that. Because
I'm sure it will be.
Yeah, but I'm trying not to put a definite on there because that's setting up an expectation. But for me, it's enough to say, look, you're going to enjoy it better than the last Superman movie. Yeah. So keep thinking about that. Don't think about how great it could be. Just let it impress. If it's going to impress you, then let it impress you when it does. Don't expect, and it's, again, a whole bigger conversation about should you just be pessimistic about life and then let yourself be pleasantly surprised by good things, or should you expect good things in life, believing in the goodness of human nature and people and things you're going to see, and then be disappointed? To me, it's like, look, it's so much of a big concept to apply to one movie, so you don't really have to think about it that much. I'm sure it'll be good. So for me, it's like, I want to see it. I'm going to see it in theaters. I don't have to think about it anymore at that point.
Yeah.
Thinking about it more than that just damages it in the long run.
Right. I think this comes out the same weekend as Man of Steel. This is the end.
Yes. All I know is a post-apocalyptic, but I'm interested in the concept of people playing versions of themselves.
Yeah.
That's...
It sounds really fun. Like, it sounds like just a group of guys, like, just having fun. Right. And for that reason, I'll probably end up seeing it.
I think so as well. I agree. I don't think, and I still don't think, but I know later I probably will, go see Monsters University. I'm not interested in the concept in the least.
Really?
I'm really not. But Pixar tends to not disappoint, with the exception of Cars and Cars 2. I'm just not interested. I don't care. I didn't really care about Mike and Sully to the point where I wanted to see how they met. However, when you think about the fact that it's sort of going to be like Revenge of the Nerds in a way, when you can compare it, when it has like a grounded, relatable concept, you can understand, like, I don't know, I can see there being things I like, and Pixar is good about making their stories relatable. So, on paper, it sounds like an awful idea to me, but I feel like I'll end up going to see it because I'm sure I'm going to hear good things.
Yeah. See, I disagree. I think now Monsters, Inc. was never a movie that I walked out saying, like, I wish I knew how they met, or I wish I could see more. Mm-hmm. But it is a good movie, and I just think that this is something a little different for Pixar. Even just by a little bit. But I don't know. I'm interested in it. I think it looks fun. It looks funny, and I'm loving the viral marketing that they're doing for this. Like, you can actually, like, go to the Monsters University website, and, like, there's information on, like, enrolling and, like, financial aid, and it's like an actual, like, college website. And then there's, like, a store, so you can buy clothes from Monsters University that says, like, Monsters U and whatnot. And they have, like, different options, so you can buy a shirt with, like, 2 necks in case you have 2 heads, or with, like, 6 sleeves in case you have 6 arms. And just that kind of marketing is really, really interesting and really fun. And it just seems like a fun movie. So it's one I'll see, definitely.
That's good.
There's one more I want to talk about in June.
Okay.
It's Now You See Me. Have you seen the trailer for this?
I have not.
Okay, Now You See Me. I'm not sure who the director is, but it stars Jesse Eisenberg and Mark Ruffalo and Morgan Freeman and Woody Harrelson. I think Michael Caine is in it. Essentially, best I understand, it has to do with, like, a group of magicians. I guess magicians are big this year.
I agree. Magicians seem to be like a weird kind of trend this year with the Oz and the other movie you were talking about.
Essentially, I think the story here is that Jesse Eisenberg and Woody Harrelson, they're like magicians, and if you've ever seen Zombieland, they have good chemistry. I think they work well together. And so anyway, they're magicians, and they basically, like, the FBI thinks I guess in one of their acts, they're like, we're going to rob a bank. And then the bank actually is robbed. And so they think that these magicians robbed the bank. But they're like, yo, we were on stage. How can we rob the bank? And so that's the whole thing. Like, ooh, are they really magic? Dude. And so anyway, I don't know. It just seems like funny. And I imagine there's going to be, like, some Prestige references since Michael Caine is in it and whatnot. Anyway, I don't know. It's gonna be funny, I think. So I can't say that it's one that I'm gonna see in theaters, but I might if it has good reviews. I might.
There's two still for me in June, and one of them is World War Z, which I'm gonna have to hear. I'm gonna have to wait and hear on. Same thing.
See, I think that looks ridiculous.
Yeah, like for the thing. Yeah, and Kick-Ass 2. I feel like, and half of these I feel like mentioning because maybe it explains why there's so many that I feel like I'm going to rent, but I keep mentioning them. I feel like there are people who are anticipating these movies a lot. And I thought I'd give my opinion on them. Kick-Ass 2, I liked the first one, but I'm not psyched about this one. Like, why do I not feel excited about it, you know?
Well, for me, I mean, the first one was good, but it wasn't great, and I think the reason that I don't feel much excitement for it, even though Jim Carrey's in it, which is intriguing,
right,
is probably because I didn't really care for the characters that much.
Yeah.
And so here we are. Why do I want to watch them some more? Like, I didn't really like them the first time around. The only character that was halfway interesting was Big Daddy, and he's dead. Spoiler alert, sorry. And and he was only interesting because it was Nick Cage, and it was hilarious to watch him, attempt to be an actor. And so anyway, I don't know. It just I'm not excited for it, but it may be something that I'll see. I don't know.
For July, I have Despicable Me 2. Mm-hmm. No real reason, just I enjoyed the first one, and
yeah,
we'll see.
I'll see it.
I have The Lone Ranger. Not very interested, but Gore Verbinski has been putting out every movie of his I've seen. I've enjoyed, even ones I thought I might not. We'll see. I mean, this is one of those like classic tales that I feel like they're going to add a lot. To, not necessarily in a good way. Almost like G.I. Joe. Like you're taking like a concept that's pretty basic, and I understand the creative impulse to add to it, so I can understand why it would appeal. I'm just hoping it doesn't make me sit there and think, this is not what I think of when I think of The Lone Ranger. I don't want to think that while I'm watching it, but thought it might be worth mentioning.
Yeah, I'm not too interested in that one. It just seems really the same to me for Gore Verbinski. It just seems very him.
Yeah.
There's a movie coming out called R.I.P.D., which I don't know much about, but I know it has Ryan Reynolds and Jeff Bridges, and I feel like that would be a pretty interesting combination. I guess they're like supernatural, like detectives or something, and I don't know. See, whatever. I like the two of them, and I don't know, anything with Jeff Bridges, I'm intrigued. So
yeah. Hopefully it's good. Ryan Reynolds doesn't need another critical flop on his hands.
No.
That guy's really... I feel bad for him. He's really trying, and,
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that this is a big one for a lot of people. This next one I'm going to mention, particularly Sam Donches. And it is Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
I'm pretty interested in this just because of... I don't even know why I'm interested. I just am. I don't know if it's...
I'll tell you why I'm interested.
Yeah?
Yeah. 3 things.
Okay.
Giant robots.
Okay.
Giant monsters.
Yes.
And Idris Elba.
I feel like most people's reasons... I think these are the 3 reasons most people are excited for it. Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, him too.
Yeah. I agree. I think maybe that's why. I think it's going to be just really cool to see. I like speculative fiction.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to for anybody's take on that. So
right.
Maybe that's why Oblivion and other things, Star Trek and Iron Man 3 really appeal to me. Is their glimpses into near or far future technology and the way people. Yeah. The last one I have for July is The Wolverine.
Yeah.
I've said before, I love Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I just like the way he plays the character. I like watching it, and I enjoy it. Even as bad as X-Men Origins Wolverine was. One of the reasons that movie's performance was so heartbreaking to me was because I liked everything about him. I hated everything about the film. And I felt, God, what a waste for how hard this guy worked. I mean, if you know anything about him, you know, like, every time he does like an X-Men movie, he works out harder and harder for each one to the point where he has like, he's pushed his body to the limit. He's gotten like in insane shape to portray this character. Arguably, like some of the best physical. It seems kind of weird to judge a person's like physical fitness, but the most comic book like physique I think I've seen on an actor playing a comic book character, with the exception of possibly Ryan Reynolds, but maybe a little more, you know, which if you know anything about fitness is incredibly difficult. Yeah. So I respect Hugh Jackman for his dedication to his roles. If you know, he lost and gained weight for Les Mis, and he's done it for other roles as well. So I appreciate his dedication to you know, just even a comic book character, not like a historical figure or like a president or anything. I know that you know, between the involvement of James Mangold and basically the fact that they've sort of said they're retconning the previous movie tells me that no one really liked what they did with the last movie. They're not doing that thing I hate where they're outwardly calling it out, because I still don't think they should do that. But they're basically saying, "Don't worry, we this is what we wanted to do with the last film, and it just didn't happen." So I appreciate that. I know that I'm going to choose to believe them, and that this is going to be a different sort of film than the last one. So,
well, I hadn't thought about it in terms of this, but your 2-movie rule, I think, applies here. Didn't like X-Men 3, didn't like Wolverine, probably will not see the Wolverine.
For you?
For me, I'm getting... I respect Hugh Jackman a lot, and for the dedication that he has to this character, I think is relatively unmatched in superhero movies. For the most part, it seems like when actors play superheroes, after a while, they're like, okay, I'm done. And with the exception of maybe Hugh Jackman and probably Robert Downey Jr., there's really not another actor who's totally committed to the role that they're playing. Now, with that having been said, I'm a little tired of him as Wolverine. I respect what he does. I think he's good, but I'm ready for something else. And the reason for that has to do with a number of things. Number one, I've never cared much for any of the X-Men movies. X-Men 2's okay, but X-Men was boring. X2 only had okay parts. X3 was ridiculous. Wolverine, X-Men Origins Wolverine, was just downright silly and stupid. And First Class, I thought, just completely lost everything.
I forgot about First Class. Whoa, think about that sentence. I forgot about First Class.
Yo, you're star screaming. I can't understand the words you're saying.
Okay, hang on.
Sorry. I know you just made a joke, and I'm like, okay. I could see it in your eyes, like, oh, he's going to think this is funny. And then I was like, nope.
What I said was, think about that sentence that I just said. I forgot about X-Men First Class.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. X-Men First Class was so boring, and none of the characters were interesting except for Magneto. And I loved Michael Fassbender as Magneto. And even James McAvoy as Professor X was interesting.
Those are the only two things I really liked about the movie.
But everything else was just so boring.
I didn't care about anybody else.
No. And that's the thing. There have been a lot of comic book franchises. And comic book franchises are known for this. They'll do something, and then all of a sudden, it's not being critically successful, or it's not, being critically successful, or maybe even commercially successful. And then all of a sudden, they reboot it. Why X-Men hasn't been rebooted, I don't know. I don't know why they all take place in the same universe, because to me they're all boring, and I don't care about any of the characters. I like Wolverine. I'll be honest, I've never really been a huge Wolverine fan, but I like him, and I think he has potential, and I'm ready for a different take on the character. And that's no disrespect to Hugh Jackman, but I'm ready for something different, because that would show me that they're ready to try to please people. And as is, they're just adding on to a series that I don't like.
For me, at least the way I consider it, like, I feel like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, with exception to possibly his height, is great casting for that character.
Yeah, sure.
And what the problem is what is written, or his place in the story among the ensemble. And I think that the Origins was an attempt to give the focus to just him, and then that guy, whoever they hired, that guy, I don't even know, Gareth Evans. I don't even know who that is. I just came up with that name. I don't know.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah. Whoever they had direct that film, it just fell apart. All that Sabretooth shit was so goofy, and the way he ran, and the fact that every fight scene had no tension because they're both essentially immortal. Like, they're fighting. Oh, but you can both heal, so no one's going to die. So,
and it's a prequel, so we pretty much know how it's going to end anyway.
Yeah. So, and the amnesia bullets.
Oh God, and Deadpool.
Yeah.
Poor Ryan Reynolds again.
Yeah. So maybe what I'm hoping for this film is that this will finally be like James Mangold. Hopefully, is going to be the guy, and especially Hugh Jackman's he's in a producer role as well, so he's creatively involved in this, and so I'm hoping between the two of them, because he didn't get to pick the last director. I think he got to pick this time.
Yeah.
And so he picked James Mangold. I think he picked what's his name, Darren Aronofsky first.
Yeah.
And who couldn't do it. That would have been insane if it was.
Yeah,
Darren
that would have been
Aronofsky.
really weird.
I don't know much about
in a good way.
James Mangold's work. I think didn't he do The Last Samurai? I think he did The Last Samurai. This is one of those few episodes.
No, James Mangold did Walk the Line, and he did that Day and Night movie, or Night and Day, or whatever that thing was.
Right.
And yeah.
Yeah, this is one of those rare times where I'm
3:10 to Yuma.
Yeah, I'm not I'm not pulling up facts as I'm yeah, he did not do The Last Samurai. But anyway, I'm hoping that that their collaboration will bring the story that I feel like they both seek, which is just a story just about Wolverine, exactly as he is, compelling and interesting. Because the previous films I've seen Wolverine in, I haven't had the two bad ones in a row. Even I didn't completely hate X-Men 3. And I always liked him as Wolverine. So in context of this character, I haven't seen two bad ones in a row. Even the last one, with the character, I wouldn't consider bad. But if this one fails, then at that point it's look, it's been 15 years. I know that you're right for this, but it just keeps not happening, and I'm going to move on.
Now, not to be super argumentative, but like I said, I don't really... I like Wolverine, but I don't think he's a really interesting character.
Right.
So for me, the problem is you give him his own movie. I don't know how you can write it where I care. That's just me going by what I know about the character. Now they can probably do something that'll make me care, but I don't know what that is. The second thing that makes me, another thing that makes me apprehensive about it is that it is set after X3. In the timeline, which means that they are saying, okay, Jean Grey's dead, Cyclops is dead, all this stuff is happening. Spoiler alert again, but for real, who cares? And so for me, pulling from a movie that I hate, and sure, maybe they're not pulling from it, but there's, in order for them to set the movie after that, they're probably going to reference some of the things in a movie that I hate. it just. I'm ready for something different. I'm ready for a reboot. I'm ready for something different with the X-Men, and I know I'm not the best person to judge this because I don't really like the X-Men and I don't really like Wolverine, but that's the film's job, and they've had a lot of chances to get it right. I just don't know that I can give them another one, not in theaters. That's
fair. I understand that.
Yeah.
I don't have anything for August. Would you have anything for August?
There's the Neil Blomkamp movie Elysium, which I think could be interesting. I'm not entirely sure what it's about. But it could be interesting. It looks kind of cool. I don't know.
Mine, the reason that's not on my list, not to set you against it, but just to explain why I didn't even mention it. Because first of all, I admittedly, maybe to a fault, am biased against Matt Damon. I just don't like him.
Really?
Now, I think he's a good actor, so I think maybe I just don't like him personally, and I'm trying not to let that get in the way of. But let's just say his involvement does not make me more interested in the movie, as it would with other actors' involvement. From what I've heard of the story, it seems basically like a rich poor allegory, and I'm not interested in seeing Hollywood's take on material inequality because I know what they think of it, and it's opposite from the way I feel. And so, for me, unless the film is compelling in many other ways, I don't feel like I should waste my time with it. That seems like an incredibly callous way to not be interested.
No,
it's also my prerogative as a consumer to decide what I'm going to see. However, I loved District 9, and so if I hear good things, I can imagine there'll be similar reasons why I would enjoy this movie. Just from the outside, those two key factors make me opposed to seeing it. I'm not boycotting it. I'm not that kind of person. I just,
I agree. The only real reason this is on my list is because of District 9.
Yes.
And because I'm in the mood for some original sci-fi. So that's really the only reason it's on my list. But we haven't even had a trailer for this thing, so I don't know anything about it really. So anyway, I just thought it was worth mentioning. It's his second film, right? Neil Blomkamp's second film. So anyway, it'll be interesting. There are two other ones that I want to mention briefly for August. I don't know that I'll. One of them I know I'm not seeing. The other one I could go either way. Red 2. Did you ever see Red?
Yeah, I liked Red.
Yeah, I liked Red a lot. I liked it a good bit. I'm interested. I know they're bringing in Anthony Hopkins, which I think is really cool. I love that guy. The trailer premiered a few weeks ago, maybe a week ago. What can you say? It's just old people being cool. So yeah, and then the other one I want to talk about is Disney's Planes, which originally was supposed to be a direct-to-video spin-off without Pixar's involvement of Cars. And now this is a theatrically released film called Planes, which is about talking planes now.
Right.
So, what? I guess my question is, why? Or I guess my question is, what the devil? Why do I care about this?
Yeah. Even if I did like Cars, I would think that this was a bad idea.
Yeah. Why do you say, oh, hey, let's do this direct to video? Why? I don't know. Probably because we're not going to put much money into it or time or animation skill. Okay, cool. Hey, you know what? We could get more money if we put this in theaters. Do it.
And after this, we'll do trains. And then we'll do planes, trains, and cars.
Yes. And then we'll do,
boats.
Dune buggies and
subways.
Yeah.
Which are also trains, but who gives a fuck? Yeah, I agree. I don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah. No, I don't have anything for September.
Me neither. Or October. Okay. The first thing I have for November is Ender's Game. I've had this on audiobook for like a year, and I need to listen to it because I paid like $25 for it. This is a book I keep hearing is one of the best novels that each person has ever read. Like it repeatedly gets described to me like that. So I want to try and read the book, and then but I put it on my list because just that high praise of a science fiction novel again, speculative fiction, I appreciate that, and adaptations of such large books interest me.
Yeah.
So, and I'm hoping that that'll be good. So I don't really have anything else to say about it other than it interests me. And
Yeah.
we'll see.
I agree.
What do you have?
I also have Thor, The Dark World.
Yeah, me too.
I'm just interested in seeing, where it goes from here. The director's from Game of Thrones, so it's going to be like more realistic stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be more tangible sets and more tangible, a more realistic looking world.
Yeah.
So that I think is interesting. I'm interested in this for a lot of reasons. I just want to see more Thor. I think he was the one in the Avengers who kind of got the shaft a little bit, and didn't have as much to do as I wished he had. I love Loki, and I love Thor, and I love their relationship, and I know that was touched on in the Avengers, but I want to see that kind of carried on a little bit, and I'm excited for it.
I agree, and I hope they can do more with it. Maybe put some more action in it. But still carry on the emotional resonance that and maybe take that a little further as well. But I'm excited for it.
Now there's also a Disney movie called Frozen, which I don't really know anything about, but it's another Disney movie. It's not like Planes. This one was actually supposed to be in theaters. Anyway, I've seen some of the concept art from it. It looks kind of cool. I think it stars Kristen Bell, actually, kind of strangely. And it's an animated film, I guess, about like a kingdom that's put under an icy spell where everything is frozen, and then she has to save her kingdom or something. I don't know. Could be cool. I always have a Disney movie on the list. If there's like a legit Disney animated movie coming out, it's on my list. So,
briefly, the last thing I have for November is The Hunger Games: Catching Fire. Everyone knows how we thought about the Hunger Games movie. And if you don't know, we didn't like it.
I'm not hungry for more.
Yeah, I was not a fan of the adaptation of the story. Dustin seemed opposed to the story overall.
Yes.
Or certain mechanics of it, I believe.
Yes.
I think each of us has an equally good reason for not liking the film. The same reason here is like they're going a different director, hopefully a different vision, hopefully the right vision. And there's still time for me to either be re-interested in this franchise or to just, put it to bed, since there will indeed be a third one. I'm only passively interested in it. That one I'll actually wait and hear about it before I go see it, as opposed to the other one where I thought, I'll probably like this,
Yeah. I have no desire to see this in theaters.
Right.
Probably will see it on Redbox, but won't see it in theaters. I'm pretty sure, unless everyone's like, "Oh my god, you have to go see it!"
Amazing.
The thing, the thing, and then I'd be like, "Oh, maybe."
But for December, I'm sure you have this as well, is The Hobbit: The Desolation of Smaug.
Yes.
Again, no really added reasons why we want to see this. We talked about why we support the 3-movie split. This is evidence of why it's on our list. Yay!
Yeah.
We proved ourselves to not be hypocrites.
Yes. If you disagree, if you hate The Hobbit, then just go jump in a river and die. That was harsh. I'm sorry. Don't die. Just drown a little bit. For December, Anchorman.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Anchorman is a hilarious movie. Everyone's seen it at this point. Everyone quotes it every day of their lives. I don't know. I think I want to see more.
Yeah, I agree. Does it for me for December.
Overall, the big ones for me are going to be The Man of Steel, Star Trek, Thor, and The Hobbit. I think those are going to be the big ones.
Yeah, I feel like the ones I will unmistakably see in theaters are definitely Iron Man 3, Star Trek, Man of Steel, The Wolverine, and Thor and The Hobbit.
Yeah, and I'll end up seeing Pacific Rim in theaters too, if only just because you're going to want to see that one in theaters.
Yeah, I feel like the scope of that movie sort of demands a theater viewing.
Right. So anyway, those are my big ones. Man of Steel probably being the number one, followed closely by The Hobbit probably. But again, trying not to get my hopes up too high.
Right.
But yeah, I think overall 2013 is going to be a pretty good year for movies. Undoubtedly, there are going to be movies that are going to like pop up and kind of hit me in the face, like some did this year. Movies that are not on my list but get good reviews when they come out, or have Oscar buzz, or are indie movies that nobody really has heard of but sound interesting. And but these, for me anyway, the ones that were on my list tend to be the big blockbusters, because those are the ones that I'm gonna spend money on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Well, that does it for episode 40, everybody. I guess stay
Yeah.
tuned. Next time we'll do something for something.
Yeah, we'll do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.